but it's what we do and it's what we are used to. So we fear change, and it's scary to pivot. It's scary to make a big change where you're like, I have something that's secure and that, is proven to my mind work.
Everybody to another episode of the Be You Brand podcast. I am so excited to bring you this guest today because she's not only my friend, we have met many years ago and we have kind of walked like different paths, re-encounter, and then lately we just have been in this like love affair on what we do. And I am so excited to introduce you to Nicole Laino. Hello, Nicole.
Happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you because I feel like my people are gonna love this episode.
That was how I felt when you came on my show. I was like, I really can't wait for everybody to meet you. I couldn't wait to bring you to the show just because it's like, I know that they're going to love you. I know that this is going to be so impactful. So I feel like we have very good energy together. So I'm excited for anything that we do together. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
And our messages are so aligned. We have kind of started our journey, not together. You have been in business way longer than me, but it has been so beautiful to see both of us grow and kind of pivot and change and do all these things. I have to tell you, I was so curious about human design, and you have been the person that actually has helped me to actually not only understand it, but really like trust a lot of the crazy, and for those of you listening, I'm quoting, crazy things that went through my mind. Why did they happen? Why am I this particular way? That for many years, it seemed like I wasn't committed and I wasn't crazy and I was doing too many things at a time. And we're going to jump into that, I am sure. But I'm going to read your bio and then we're going to jump into this journey.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Nicole Laino is a human design expert, peak performance coach, and podcast strategist. Nicole teaches entrepreneurs how to use human design to let their purpose be the unique differentiator in the business and to live a fully aligned life. She is the host of Unshakable with Human Design podcast. And you ladies, that is right now my favorite podcast. So you need to go listen to it. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. What a beautiful welcome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So, Nicole, I kind of want to bring people a little bit into your journey. So I love when my guests share this story because I know that people think that when people are ahead, they always been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the truth is that we all start somewhere. And specifically in your case, you have pivoted. When I met you, you were more like a business strategist. You also had a network marketing background, just like me. And you have changed and pivot, and that takes so much courage. So I can't wait to hear a little bit of that.
Yeah, no, I would love to share my story. And if you're listening and you are scared or not sure or feel like you are behind, my story will make you feel better. The way that I started out, I have always been this kind of, I call myself a type A hippie, where I had this analytical, organized side that was drawn to business, drawn to organizational structures and things like that, and being very, very driven. And then I had this very creative, flowy side that wanted to express herself. And so I grew up an actor. I was an actor. And then, as actors do, as I was working as an actor in New York, I ran out of money and I needed to get a job. And I got a job, and I got a job on Wall Street. So I went from this super creative career to this super analytical, can you get more masculine energy than Wall Street? Probably not. Not many places, maybe big tech in some ways. So I get a job there, and I was good at both of them. I was really good at both of them. And I burnt out on that career eventually on Wall Street. I was 7 years in, and I remember just thinking to myself, and my intuition spoke to me there and was like, this was right for you for a while. You had to come here, but it's time for you to go. It's over. And it was really scary. I had to let go of the golden handcuffs. I had to let go of the multiple six-figure, salary and bonus and all of this stuff. I had to let go of the identity that I had of being respected for working at one of the big firms on Wall Street, arguably the most competitive.
Oh my God, I know.
when you said the name of my firm, people were like, wow, you work there? Wow, I wish I could get in there. And it was a very prestigious place to work until people hated Wall Street, depending on who you were talking to. But so I had to unwind all of the things that I felt and just do what felt right to me. And this was the first real pivot in my life where I was like, there was a pivot from the acting world to the Wall Street world. There's a pivot from Wall Street to saying like, I don't know what's next, but I know I can't be here anymore. So I have to take a big And I always say like, I remember standing, the moment I realized I was going to leave, I was standing from next to a floor to ceiling window in Louboutin shoes with the job everybody would think that they wanted and the salary and all that prestige. And I remember looking down at the street below thinking, look at all the free people down there. And I did not feel free. And I felt trapped. And I was like, okay, something's got to give. I've got to go. And I don't know where I'm going, but I've just got to get out of here.
You know what is crazy? You're saying that. And I remember having the same thought working at a bar. Mm-hmm. When I was in my bartending job, and people were like having fun and they were walking around and they were doing all the things. So like my mom friends would like do things with their kids like later in the evening.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I have zero freedom.
Yeah. And I felt, it's these feelings where, but it's what we do and it's what we are used to. So we fear change and it's scary to pivot. It's scary to make a big change where you're like, I have something that's secure and that, is proven to my mind works. And now I'm going to go do something that is completely unsure and uncertain. And I didn't know where I was going. I just knew that I had to leave. So I left and bless my husband. I was like, I want to move to Los Angeles and I want to go back to acting because that's the only thing I can remember that felt like me, where I felt like me and I feel like I've lost me. So we moved to Los Angeles. While I'm there, I'm acting. Things are going really like I'm having a great time. I'm finding myself again and I find network marketing. I'm in network marketing for like 5 minutes before I realize, oh, there's a gap in this market. Yeah. And I build a CRM. So I actually didn't end up staying in the network marketing proper area. I ended up being adjacent to it where I created a tool for network marketers. I created a CRM and I built that. And that was sort of the gateway drug into entrepreneurship for me, where I was like, oh, I love this creation. I love this exploration. I love the selling. I love what I'm doing. And I built that business and that business became a 6-figure business. It still exists, that CRM, that tool. Then I started to branch out into coaching because I started coaching the users of my system. So it all kind of unfolded really organically, so this series of big pivots and small pivots have kind of led me to where I am now. I did start out with more branding business strategy. That was where I started out, was just like, let's build a business for you. And it didn't have a whole lot of niching down necessarily that I did in the beginning. It was much more about, here's how you build a course. Here's how you can go and sell it. Here's how you can launch it. That was basically what I started out doing. It just didn't feel right. It was working. It was making money, but it didn't feel connected to me. And I went on this journey of realizing that like energetically, I was saying no to this. I was not fully in it and I could not fully devote myself to it. Like something was missing and I couldn't pinpoint why. And that sent me down the personal development journey of trying to figure out, what have I always been searching for? What part of me is it that I can't bring out? Like what I was doing felt hollow. It felt like this facade. Mm-hmm. It felt like what I was putting out was just this cookie cutter crap that everybody else was doing. I didn't really feel like I was standing out in it. It didn't feel authentic to me. It didn't feel like a big lie either. It just felt shallow. And it felt like there's more to me than this. And
like
I deserve it. It felt vanilla, totally. I had messaging that sounded just like everybody else's. And you know what? It worked for a while. Then it didn't work because I was putting out a message that I was not really connected to anymore. In the beginning, I was connected to it because I was just so excited to be doing it. And it worked. And it worked really well. And then suddenly the launches got smaller and people weren't paying attention. And I didn't feel connected to it. And I was like, something is going on here. And I started to explore nervous system regulation and all of this other stuff to try to connect to me again, to clear my energy, to come back into what I know now as alignment. And I found human design on that path. And human design to me gave me this amazing tool where first of all, everything that ever happened to me in my life made sense now looking through my design, where I was like, oh, this is why I'm a manifesting generator. This is why I've pivoted so much, why I'm so multi-passionate, why I am this creative person, but I'm also very analytical. There's aspects of my design that tie in with that. I'm very practical. I'm very process driven. I'm very solutions oriented. There are some aspects of my design that lead to that. It made me feel okay for the words that I was using before were not kind to myself, where I would look at that and I would say like, well, I'm flaky. Why can't I stick to something? You don't have a focus.
Oh my God. Okay. Just for the people that are listening, I am actually also a manifesting generator. I have heard the whole flaky thing, like you don't finish what you start, or like I've heard that so many times. I even had somebody back in the day, even before I even moved here, when I had my bartending school, that told me like, you don't commit to things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you saying? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm the person that goes like all in on everything she does. Like I'm obsessive with things, but people saw me like I wouldn't finish or like I wasn't committed for some reason. Now I know for some reason.
And I thought the same thing about myself. And it's so much worse. You have people telling you that, but then you're also telling yourself that. And when we talk about like energetically holding back from selling something, if I feel like I'm a flake, then I don't really feel like I can deliver for other people. I don't really feel like I can hold you in one of my containers. So I'm selling half-heartedly. And half-hearted is one of the keys in my design that I have dug into and so I used human design as a map to find my weaknesses, not in the sense of weaknesses like flaws, but in ways that I was actually dimming my own light, bad-mouthing myself, and holding myself back from actually expressing myself and delivering what I'm here to deliver in this world. It gave me a sense of seeing my purpose, and not from a way of being like, I never knew that. It's where it's like, oh my God, I always knew that. And I've been moving in this direction the whole time. But now it's like, I can see the castle on the hill. It's like, I knew it was there. I knew I was traveling toward this. So it gave me that beacon of light, and it gave me a mechanism to see my own light and a tool to open myself up along the way and make good decisions that are in alignment with that.
I love that. So for me, because I think that it's important for the people, I don't know how much, right, my people know about human design. And even me, like, I'm not an expert like you are, right? Like I'm in your lab and I'm learning, and I love like the easy peasy, how you make it like so easy and so peaceful that I don't feel like it's a chore. It's like a Sunday morning kind of thing for me, that I'm like, oh, I can dig into this, and it doesn't feel like another mindset thing to do, right? But I think it really brought together a lot of that personal development and that self-discovery at a completely new level with so much acceptance, because I was able to understand.
It's both discovery and it's a process. It's like, okay, here's these things about yourself, but here's also this mechanism to say, if this happens, then do this. This is the right way for you. So this is the right way for you to make decisions. This is the right way for you to gauge your own excitement about something, to know what's the right way for you. So should we break down what human design is for everybody who doesn't know or isn't?
I was gonna go there. I'm like, can you break down what human design is? Because we're talking about it. We're talking about how fantastic it is.
Let's clear that up.
So what is human design?
Human design.
What is human design?
Human design, in its simplest form, it's basically an energetic blueprint of who you are, of what you are. And if you've ever run your chart, you've probably seen these colors and these numbers and these lines, and you're like, what the heck am I looking at? And really what we're looking at, from my perspective, what we're doing is it shows us who you were born to be. It does tell you your, I'm using quotes right now to say purpose. It's not meant to put you in a box, but it's meant to give you a theme for your life. And most people feel incredibly validated when they hear it and when they start digging into that. It shows you how your energy is expressed and experienced by others, meaning what's the energy? What are the themes that you're meant to put out in the world? What's authentically you? And then what are the energies that you're super sensitive to? So like, you're open in your emotional center. I'm defined in my emotional center. I transmit, I'm meant to be an emotional person in this world. That's something that I'm meant to be and learn and do. You are meant to receive that and have a different experience with emotions than I do. Now, what this helps us understand is where are we, where we're transmitting all those colored in parts in a chart that are telling you this is who you are. That to me, I'm always looking at that and saying like, well, these are the areas you might be playing small in. You might be repressed in these areas. These might have been the areas where people told you you're too much. And then those white spaces in the chart where you are receiving, you're receptive. That's where you're feeling what everybody else is throwing down in that area. That's the stuff that when you walk in a room, you pick up from other people. So that's really interesting to know that for you, you can walk into a room and you're going to pick up on an emotional frequency of people. Just to know that about yourself, that awareness piece can be huge. And to know that you're not supposed to be pushing from these places. It's an area where you lay back and receive. It's an area where you are there to be a judge, an evaluator of the energy of other people, whether they're bullshit in that area, whether that's really coming through in a high frequency or not.
You're saying that, and it's so funny because for the longest time, I'm always like saying to people, I feel people's energy. And I remember, and because I don't want to go into like super details because people may not know what they are in human design. But for me, one of the things was to understand, like when you have an open center or something, like I'm feeling somebody else's feelings. Like literally, I live my whole life thinking like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like in certain situations? And then I started realizing, oh, this is not mine. This is not mine. And it took a little bit of work. It's still a work in progress. Like sometimes I don't realize that it's not mine, but it has been so helpful. Also, one of the things that I learned from you was journaling, like just words, like sitting down and journaling without actually having to journal anything in particular. And I actually been sharing that with some of my people. And I'm like, tested. I don't know about human design, but this has helped me. And it may not be for everybody. But oh my God, the clarity. And you would think like, what is the clarity? Like I didn't get anything done, but it's like I'm getting shit out of my head, right? It's kind of like that brain dump that people talk about. And then I can see it and I can like, okay, all that is not mine is not here anymore. Now I can go and do my thing.
Exactly. Well, it tells us where are we taking in other people's stuff and maybe we're holding on to it. Where do we need to let it go? And in the moment, you may not know it, but in hindsight, you might realize it, which would keep you from, if you don't know it right now, to be like, oh, that's not mine. Later on, you might be thinking about it or feeling it and go, oh, wait, I wonder, that was probably not my energy. Now I can let it go rather than keeping it in your mind, wondering what's wrong with you or why you're feeling this way and trying to fix it when it's not yours to fix.
I love that. So now we know what human design is. Like, it's this energetic blueprint of who you're meant to be, your purpose. One of the things that I love that you do is like you took all of this knowledge and you're helping people put their messaging and their positioning based on their human design. Can you give me a little bit of insight on why they are connected and how you do this?
So there's a ton of stuff in your human design chart. There are 9 centers, which very closely align to the Hindu chakra system. Not exactly, but the theme is the same. There are 36 channels that align with the Kabbalah tree of life. There are 64 gates that align with the Chinese I Ching. And then we also throw in, for good measure, we throw in some astrology and some quantum physics in there. So there's a lot going on. What it tells us, though, is, again, we're talking about transmitting and receiving. What are you here to be? And what are you here to know about through receiving, through being receptive? So what are you sensitive to? With messaging, we have a purpose. We have a way. So there's a way that everybody's purpose unfolds, and your design tells you that. And that's the mechanics of the design, and that is tied to the 5 types. So for somebody, when I'm working with them on their message...
Can you give an example of that?
Yeah. So like I'm a manifesting generator. There are 5 types, and I'll run through them right now, because if you ran your chart, you fell into one of these 5 categories. You're either a generator, a manifesting generator. Those are the builders of society. Generators and mani-gens, we have the energy, sustainable energy to build stuff. We want to create things. So we are the builders of society. Manifesting generators, we're more multi-passionate and a little more vision-oriented, a little more creatively driven than just the generators. They're a little bit more focused on mastery of one thing. We are a little more all over the place, which is why we can be considered flaky by ourselves and other people. There are projectors, which are our wise guides of the collective. We have manifestors, who are the true visionaries, the ones that say, I see something nobody else can see, and this is the way we're going. Who's coming with me? If you're not, get out of my way. And then we have the reflectors, who are here to be, they're 1% of the population. They are here to be very in tune with the collective, with the group, with a community. They can just sense if things are wrong in a group. They're call them the canary in the coal mine. If there's something wrong at your event, you want a reflector there that's telling you like something's off with this energy. They just sense it. They just know. So there are these 5 types. So if, as a manifesting generator, the way that my purpose will unfold, I have to be doing things. There's going to be some sort of action involved. It's not going to be me purely guiding people. I'm going to have to work with it. I'm going to find it out through the doing. And when I'm working on my message, I'm looking at the themes of several aspects of the chart that sort of tell me a greater story about me. Now, there are, like I said, there are 64 gates. You get 28 activations in your chart that are very specific to you. We're talking about energy, we're talking about frequency. We're talking about things that are authentic to you. It's almost like when you play the chord that is a unique and authentic chord to you, it sounds right. It's on key. When you try to be something you're not, it's off key. And people are like, it might not be fully off, but it's just like, there's just something about that doesn't sound right. So I'll use Taylor Swift as an example.
Okay.
She's in the news right now. Sometimes it's helpful to use somebody everybody knows. So Taylor Swift, her conscious sun gate, and I believe her conscious sun gate is 26, which is the gate of the trickster. It's the gate of the egoist. It's what it is about is selling a message. It's about seeing, kind of strategizing how to sell people something. And if you look at the way that she structures her songs, if you look at the way that she markets herself, she's always 10 steps ahead of people. And she's selling herself incredibly well. Her songs are selling her. And she even has a song called Mastermind, which is very much in alignment with this gate. The conscious sun gate is your guiding light. It's your brand. That is one piece that I use to help determine what your overall message will be. This is something that when you step into it, when you shine that light that you are here to shine in the world, people pay attention in a unique way. It's not the same as somebody else doing the same thing as you. It's not you taking somebody else's message because it worked for them and then applying it to you. That often doesn't work. And this is why it's a slightly off-key or totally off-key chord that you're playing. But when you play the music that's yours, people listen. So for her, it's like she had this huge, she became this juggernaut with her stepping into this idea and to her being as like, I am a mastermind. I do kind of pull all the strings. I do make everybody listen to me. Like I know my power. And I'm standing in it. And her conscious earth is
I love that.
Is the gate of the queen. So it's like her stepping into these energies, she just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not I always want to caution people about it being like this literal process of like, this gate means this, so this is what you're going to do. Sometimes it's that simple, but a lot of times it's showing you a theme that exists in you. And the more you dig into it, the more you become in alignment or in a high expression of that thing. The more you become in a high expression of that thing, the more you just start speaking your design, speaking who you are and your authenticity in a way that people go, I don't know, there's something different about you. Over the last year, I have really honed in on my own. And that's all I hear from people is they're just like, I don't know what it is. You were showing up. You were always smart. You were always like an expert. But the way you're showing up now is completely different. And I know it's from the work that I've done.
That you say that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I hear from people that I never understood is like, oh my God, it's your energy, right? Like people are like, your energy is magnetic, your energy is contagious. And for a while, it almost felt like, I'm like, well, that's great, but I don't know what they're talking about. I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. And what because you're close to me, in the last year, me honing in on the things that feel amazing and like truly being, this feels good, so this is what I'm going to go with, even if it makes zero fucking sense.
Yeah.
like the event, right?
Yeah,
like us doing our event in September, like I was like, and people were like, you're not that big. You don't have that big of an audience. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And it was amazing and it felt easy. And a lot of that has come from actually following that sacral, following like what feels good. And again, right? Like for those of you that are not like super knowledgeable on human design, like we're gonna give you a way for you to go get your design later on Nicole's website. But I think that for me, like even when I'm unsure, now I'm like, well, okay, what does it feel good? What do I feel a pull towards? And I just go that way and I'm trusting it.
Yes. So you're talking about strategy and authority. So every type gets a strategy for a way that
it's a little different than what you were saying.
And the authority is the way that you make decisions. So what this is doing is it's allowing us to say, like, because we've all read books and we've all heard what worked for other people, and then we go try them and they don't quite work for us and we're wondering why. So human design gives you like, this is what works for you. This is how it works for you. And everybody is different. Even you and I are different. We're both manifesting generators. You have a different authority than I do. So we have a different way of making decisions that are correct for us. So I want to just use the example that you just gave about your event. So you followed that, and I want to kind of highlight the difference between the way that we operate when you're paying attention to design versus the way that I used to do things and the way that a lot of people are doing things, particularly in like the coaching service-based entrepreneurial industry. You see somebody else doing something, you go, that worked for them, or that looks like fun. I think I'll do that. Then maybe that'll work for me. That's the old way. I used to do things like that all the time. I don't know. She tried that. Let me go try that. She did that. That worked for them. They made this much money. And I ping-ponged and went all over the place trying to get someone else's result. You came at the event from a different place, from this seems like fun. This is what I want to do, like a desire that your sacral, that's your authority, is that gut feeling of like, yes. That you were like, I'm scared as hell, but this feels like such a yes, I have to do it, right? That's where you came from for making that decision.
So how is that different from the messaging and positioning? Because I think I confuse both.
Well, messaging, so there's operating. What we're talking about there is decision making. So human design shows you how you make decisions where you can tap into your own unique intuition and do it in a simple way. You don't have to hear voices. You don't have to like meditate to get it. It's literally a mechanism for you to understand what yes and no feels like from a true place in your body, not your mind, which is conditioned obviously by what other people tell us, what mistakes we've made in the past, conditioning that we have. So think about, we're all trying to rewire beliefs and change the way that we think. We're all doing that in this industry. Yet when we make a decision, we pass it through that same filter of all of those limiting beliefs, all of that stuff we're trying to rewire. And we wonder why we get the same thing over and over again. We end up in the same trap. Well, because you're running the same program, you're filtering it all through your old programming. Human design takes that power away from your mind and puts it in your body, in your unique body, not just like everybody goes with their gut, because there's some people the gut's not right. And those people never understood people saying like, I have a gut feeling. They're like, that doesn't work for me. You know why? Because that's not.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, but it's our way. Gut is our way. And then positioning and messaging, I look at as, so I get you operating where you're making decisions according to your design rather than according to your conditioned mind. That's step one. Step two are those deeper dives into, okay, let's break this down into the pieces of you, into the unique, really detailed pieces of energy of you. So like I said, there are gates. We all get 28 of them in our design where we get these activations. These are all very specific ways that our energy shows up. Energy we're here to put out in the world. And I look at specific ones, and then I also look at your profile. We all get a role that we're here to play. So now I start looking at you as a person. Like, let's get you not operating according to the old program. Let's get you operating a new way, making different decisions that are more in alignment with yourself, that are going to bring you to the things that are correct for you. Now let's explore what it means to be you. Now, when we start to explore what it means to be you, and we start breaking those pieces down, we get to a level of detail where a message just starts to come together. A message just starts to, it's like, this is what you are here to deliver. So I'll use myself as an example really quickly. I'm a 5-1. That's my profile. My profile is a 5-1, and that what that is about is I'm an expert. The 1 line becomes an expert through investigating, through researching, through learning things, which I love to do. And then the 5 line takes everything, all the knowledge that I learn, and turns it into something practical, useful, and universalizes. So I take gene keys, all of these other pieces of things that I've learned, and I put them together into my own soup. What you get in the human design lab with me is not the cookie cutter human design stuff that everybody else does. I add my own flavor. There's my own unique method underneath all of that. And then I have my nervous system regulation tools and all the other things to help you decondition faster. So one of the keynotes of the 5-1 is to be practical. Like, it has to be grounded in practical solutions for people. So you see me, if you look at my messaging, it's all over my messaging where I talk about, like, okay, human design, if you're confused by it, if it feels like this esoteric system where you're like, great, interesting, but now what do I do with it? That's where I come in, because I provide practical solutions. I demystify the mystical system of human design. I break it down into something that's really easy for you to understand and practically apply it in your life, because I'm not interested in teaching anybody anything that they can't use. It's like, it goes against all of my energy.
Because it's not you. Because it's not you.
Now, someone else could say that, but it might not. I have another client who does similar things, but she's a 2-4. That's not her way, and that doesn't feel authentic to her to say something like that. So it's these little keynotes, these pieces of our design that we can start to build a message where it's like, and then the more it becomes you, I say that with extreme authority. Like, when I say that, when I tell you, like, I provide practical solutions. If you are confused by human design, I can help you with that. If you're not sure what to do with it, I'll show you how to use it with your kids. I'll show you how to use it in your business. I'll show you how to use it in your life. And I'll show you how to change your life by giving you a simple mechanical process to follow and some awesome ways that you can dig into what makes you uniquely you, which is just super fun. And who doesn't like to learn about themselves? But I'm going to show you what to do with that stuff.
I love that. Because, okay, so I have an example, and you can correct me here. Because last time I kind of went and I thought that you were talking about that, and I was talking about authority and you were talking about messaging. But you and I were having coffee, and I remember I told you, oh my God, when I put together the event, I brought people that changed my life. And I wanted to share that with my audience. Literally, it's the same that I do here with the podcast. Like, I don't bring strangers, right? I bring people that somehow they brought something into my life. And you told me, of course, because you're the role model and your theme is to actually show people what you have learned.
Yes. Your journey.
And it was mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
It's part of your role. You're a 6-2. You're a role model and a hermit on the other side, where there's a bit of a freak flag that comes in with, like, you have to be into what you're doing, but then you also have to teach. You have to be open with your own journey and be very accepting of all the stages that you've gone through. No 6 line can start at the finish line. They have this journey usually of some sort of, like, things didn't go well and I had to overcome stuff. There's a real hero's journey in the 6. And until you share that, you are energetically holding yourself back and you're missing your own magic, and everybody else's too. So you were talking about, actually, like, that you were going to bring up more of your bartending stuff, that you were going to share more of that story. And I was like,
yes. I was going to go there.
Yeah.
I was going to go there. So let's talk about how this all closes in messaging. Mm-hmm. For years, and if you are listening to this podcast, you probably heard me talk about this many times. I didn't tell people, like, the whole story about me bartending. A lot of my immigration, or like not immigration, but like my immigrant stories when I first came here and all of that. And in the last 2 years, when my message solidified around Be You brand and what it is to truly be you, it all came down to that self-discovery and really starting to share my journey. And it was crazy to me that people were like, oh, I was a bartender, or, oh my God, I can totally relate. Yeah, 9 to 5. And I remember literally people telling me, like, yeah, 9 to 5, you work 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. and I go to this job 9 to 5 and I feel like it's late. And literally people would tell me, oh yeah, the same. We're the same. We're the same. We're the same. Literally. Okay. Can you see, you guys, how when you, like, I think that it all truly comes down to digging on who we are. And human design is such an amazing tool to do that.
And think about the level of confidence you have not being in the closet now. That level of like, it's out there. I've accepted and I love myself. I'm not making an excuse. I'm not apologizing for who I am. No, I'm loud and proud about where I've come from and who I am and what I've built. And I love the fact that I have this here.
Even more, it's so crazy that you bring that up, because that has been the biggest kind of like revelation to me. And when I look back sometimes, I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did this even bother me? I can't even pinpoint how I felt at the time.
I mean, I think it does come from just a place of, we want to belong and we want to be accepted. I remember when I was working on Wall Street when I first got the job, I remember having the internal dialogue, don't tell anybody that you were an actor, you're not going to fit in. Then I left Wall Street. I went back to acting, get out to LA. And I was like, don't tell anyone you worked on Wall Street, you won't fit in. There was always a part of me that didn't belong. And I do believe that we have to.
Or we think that we're not going to be credible.
We think we won't be credible.
We think that we're not going to be credible.
We want to be accepted by the people that we are around, by our peers, and we want people to see us for what we are now, and we worry that what we were maybe will tarnish that. There's some way we're not accepting it, but usually we find out that that's completely untrue. It's just our own blocks and wounds that are keeping us from sharing it. What I love about human design is a lot of times me showing people, and this was my case too, when I started seeing this myself, I was liken it to it's like having a conversation with God. If you sat down with God and she said, this is how I created you, to be like this, to have this journey, to go through these struggles, to do this so you could learn that, to have this gift, to be this type of a teacher, because the 6 is a teacher for you as well. There's education and teaching and role modeling there. Would you look at God and say, no, I don't accept that? You would be like, oh my God,
I'm just gonna try to do like he does it. Like, I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah, it'd be like spitting in God's face. Who wants to do that? So I that's what I love about it, is it can give us so much courage and confidence to be who we are, to be the brand, to sell the thing that maybe feels like it won't sell, that maybe feels like, the safer thing for me to do is to do this, but I'm really being pulled in this direction to do the thing that you feel pulled to. And that's where you get the uncommon results. That's where you get the things that you're not expecting. You get better than you're expecting. And you can trust in your process, where for me, even when something doesn't work out, I'm like, I know I followed my process into this. I feel so grounded in it. Like, I know something's in it for me. Even if I don't get what I expected, I know I'm one step closer to getting what I expected or better. And that confidence allows me to walk harder in life.
What a great tool for also, I talk so much about trust, because that has been something that it hasn't come easy to me to trust the process and trust that things are happening even when they don't. And what a great tool to trust, because you know that you're doing what it's supposed to be for you. I love that. So, oh my God, you and me, honestly, I feel like we can keep talking and talking and talking and talking. I think that you kind of answered this, but I want to hear from your own words what it is for you to be you brand.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's everything. Being me, I mean, that's what I've built my whole business around, because when it wasn't me, I didn't have a brand. My brand felt so disconnected from everything, and it didn't work. Being me allows me to be the biggest version of myself, and I inspire other people to do that. We lead by example. And I think that that's what being you and your brand does, is other people see you and they feel that frequency of, she's really being her right now. And that gives me permission to be who I am. And I think that that's an incredible gift to the collective.
Yes. And I think that to add to that, the more I ask this to my guests, and everybody kind of says something different, right? But I think that at the end of the day, people don't realize that by every single one of us being who we are and really working towards being more of who we are and allowing and growing and allowing, we are giving the collective all these different colors and needs. The collective needs all of it.
Yes.
Right? When people think like, oh, who's going to listen to me? Who's going to like care about what I have to say? And like, it's so untrue.
We need it more now than ever.
Yes. Oh my God, this conversation. I hope that we didn't go extremely Google. Is there anything that you want to add when it comes to the messaging and the positioning? Where would somebody start with like really digging into their messaging and their positioning when it comes to doing it through human design?
I mean, with human design, it's about you start using it and you start to see how you just start to move differently through life. So one of the things that you can do on my website, you can go to NicoleLaino.com and /chart, and you can run your chart. If you don't know what you are, that's where you start. And we send you a little video if you sign up for our email list there. But for the messaging piece, look at what it says about you. When you read into what your type is, when you read into what your authority is, and you start living by your design and you start to ground more into your authenticity, you'll notice through your profile, most likely. That's the piece for messaging specifically that I would start with. And I actually, if you DM me on Instagram, I'm at Nicole Laino Official, DM me the word profiles. I'll send you my profiles masterclass where I actually walk you through all of this, how the messaging gets built specifically from the profile. The profile is the role that you're here to play in this world. So I always liken it to, like, if you watched Forrest Gump and Jack Nicholson played Forrest Gump, that would be a very different movie. It wouldn't really work. I don't think any of us would have really enjoyed that. So you have a role that you are here to play that's perfectly fit for you. And if you're not in alignment with that and your messaging isn't in alignment with that, then something will always feel off. So that's always the basis of where I start is profile. Let's get you in alignment with that. And can you start speaking from and building a message around? So like I talked about, like my practicality. For you, it's that hero's journey. There are different ways that we show up. There are different tools that work better for some of us than others. And that's where I would start for messaging. That's the easiest place to start. And if you DM me profiles on Instagram, we'll send you the link to the masterclass. It's free.
I love it. Ladies, you're in for a treat. I absolutely love it. Well, can you repeat where people can find you, the podcast, all the things?
Yes, thank you. My podcast is called Unshakable with Human Design. We have like over 200 episodes for you to binge to your heart's content. I am at Nicole Laino Official on Instagram. And then my website is NicoleLaino.com. Super easy.
Yes, I love it. Oh my God, this was amazing. Thank you so much for pouring so much into messaging, purpose, all the things, and really clarifying for people why human design is the way to go. And I'm so thankful for you.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful seeing you as always. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on, my love.
Yes, thank you so much. I love you.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I'll talk to you soon.